here. Happy 2026. Go team go. Any first order of business on our agenda is public comment or correspondence. So I don't know if there's anything, Amanda, or if anybody, there's nobody in the room. So if there's anybody online or.
No hands raised?
Okay, thank you. And then minutes from December 9th. If anybody's had a chance to review them, I can take a motion or,
Move to approve the minutes.
okay, and a second?
Second.
All right. And since we're all in person, we can do a live vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed or abstaining? Nope, okay. All right, there's several updates from Amanda on her report and the cultural comprehensive plan we want to talk through. And then Judy was going to be here. She has an appointment that came up this morning. I don't know if she's going to be able to jump on to give us an Orleans Chamber of Commerce update. If not, we'll just continue on. But hi, Amanda. You're home.
Hey, sorry, I can't be there. I don't have a voice.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be around my coughing.
No.
But so I'll try to.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, no, I feel physically okay. I just don't sound okay, and my cough is very aggressive. So just to like I called out in my memo. We were finally able to talk about the One Stop for Growth grants that we received. I had informed you guys that I had applied for them when I did that back in June, I want to say, or October, sorry. So we got $55,000 in technical assistance for a wayfinding and signage strategy. So, you know, we've done a lot of thought exercises around wayfinding and, you know, developing branding and stuff, but we needed actual support in figuring out where physically the signs will be located and what those will look like. So we have had a kickoff meeting with Stantec. And they do this type of, so with these technical assistance grants, the town or the state matches us with consultants. So we don't have a choice with who we work with, but Stantec has done this all across the Cape already. So we're confident that it's going to be a good work product. And then the district improvement financing feasibility study, again, this is just, there are tools that are available to communities from the state that communities can adopt to contribute to economic development. District increment financing is one of them. And essentially what it is you identify a district and any additional, from adoption, any additional investment that is made there that leads to additional tax dollars, that money is then put into economic development fund. That doesn't mean additional taxation or anything. It's just basically dedicating money to economic development. And currently the town of Orleans does not have an economic development budget. So, you know, it's just a tool we're looking at. So the consultant will be meeting with us at the March EDC meeting. She will be visiting us in person to talk about what that means. And it's not being passed. I just want to make that clear. It's literally just looking at what does the feasibility of it look like in Orleans. So I just urge everyone not to get ahead of ourselves and just kind of go along with the process. And then, you know, I think these are just, these were both identified in the economic development plan as things that Orleans should be exploring. That's what I'm here to do. So that's what I am doing. And luckily we were able to secure state funding to do it.
So the wayfinding and signage is a continuance of the conversation that's been happening for a couple of years.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the district improvement financing, I guess, I know you might not know anything, but I just pause for like when we start talking about like new tax revenue, like is it on, do you know what that's, like what is the new tax?
Property tax. So
Okay.
any additional
From
property
like
taxes.
today forward part
Yeah.
of that would potentially come to EDC? Or,
Not EDC, it would go to economic development
yeah,
initiatives.
I
that we
mean,
would
not,
identify.
I meant,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
meant not
Yeah.
us, like, but I meant
Yeah.
like to the initiative of economic development for.
Yeah. So the feasibility essentially identifies a district, and then it identifies priorities that we would put this money into. And, in other there are communities across the state that have adopted this. Barnstable is one. And it doesn't amount to huge amounts of money, but it's good for annual, and it takes a while for it to come in. But, we identified through with planning and community development a proposed district that is really where the new zoning sort of takes hold, because that's where there will essentially, we're anticipating there being additional investments.
Okay,
And it ends up being like $100,000 to $150,000. And again, it's not new taxation. It's just dedicating any additional property taxes that come in because of the increased value of the property because of that investment.
any or a portion?
It's any. So
Okay,
that's my understanding. We can ask the consultant that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of the things that was on our list to talk about, so, we have to
Yep.
pursue it.
And, it was one of those things, there's a grant available at the state level for technical assistance.
Yeah.
And I submitted an application to do the feasibility.
Yeah.
So again, even if we go through the whole process, and, she's looking forward to EDC giving some meaningful input. She'll be meeting with the planning board as well. Then the community decides it has to be adopted at town meeting. So,
Okay, so it
these are-
comes here, it goes to planning board, is it
yeah, and then, we basically decide whether we want to advance
move
it or not.
forward? It would be
Yeah.
our two committees together, or is one,
Making a recommendation. It would,
okay, so coordinating with planning board, okay,
yeah, and the select board as well,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
obviously it's the town meeting, it's their warrant, so, yeah.
okay. All right, well, so that'll be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, and that's what I just want to say. It's not, it's just going to be a conversation. For
Decided,
now, it's just
yeah.
the feasibility.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, and looking at your next bullet.
Yep. So.
Yeah, okay,
I took all of I did want to say, all of the questions about the data set, I've taken it back, and I actually just finished updating it yesterday. So that's something we'll have to talk about in the future.
okay,
So I had to reach back out to Kaylee, who was in the thick of finals in college. So
Yeah.
we just wanted to make sure that we answered those questions and provided additional data points based on your input.
the other data that we were looking for, you had listed
Yeah.
it out. It was in the minutes, right? I saw it in the minutes, all the different points that we were looking
Yep.
for, school
Yep.
age.
So I put school enrollment, things like that were
Okay.
available.
Okay, good. So it'll be good for us to go back over that and figure
Yeah.
out what we're gonna track and what we're gonna use.
Yeah, and I did just want to mention that when I presented the results of the business survey to the select board at a meeting in December, and they were really interested in this data dashboard being,
good.
Definitely something that was updated annually by the EDC. So,
Okay, that's good to know. All right. So it's not just, for our own tracking, so other people are noticing.
Yeah, and my goal is to have it up on, when we do the dedicated business website, it will live on there. So.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Any questions from anybody or comments before we move to the cultural comprehensive plan?
I have one question that maybe relates to the wayfinding. I don't know, how does the wayfinding piece that we're talking about implementing integrate with the branding effort, and what is the status of that branding effort?
Yep. So I received the final draft package from the consultants last week, and I will be presenting to the select board in early February for recommended adoption of the whole kit and caboodle. And that also, I do want to just let everybody know that the brand kit also includes an updated, not updated, it's just a re-illustrated town seal, so that we have it in, that it, honestly, I have to say, it looks beautiful. It was done by like an illustrator who does work on a national level. But we've been working with, we don't have a good suite of digital options in the, from our perspective, from a staff's perspective. So we just really need to clean everything up and get every type of digital file that we need. We didn't have that accessible to us. So it includes a beautifully re-illustrated, it looks exactly the same seal. It has not changed in any way, but re-illustrated seal. And then, what that will also be really, when presented to the select board, we'll talk about when we use a seal, when we use the branding. And when we use the branding will be in the wayfinding plan. So when we design the signage, the branding package that includes the colors and the logo, which coordinate really beautifully with the seal. So that will be part of it as well.
I guess, and maybe this is a discussion for another time, and but it's broader than this, but in terms of process and how committees and staff work together. The whole branding and marketing effort is within the economic development plan. And, just from a bird's eye view, it seems logical that the Economic Development Committee would therefore be the entity to do initial reviews and sign off and then make recommendations to the select board. And as opposed to not virtually no involvement at all or sign off. And this is not meant to, I'm not criticizing you, Amanda. You're fabulous and doing a wonderful job. This is more of a question around the general operations within the town and how committees are functioning and integrating with staff work. And just like we're all on the same page, we're all working together, but I'm feeling like we're getting reports after the fact for all kinds of activity that are within our bailiwick, and we're not really having any involvement in, the determination to attack these issues and then follow through and make the recommendations to the select board.
One thing that we had decided a while ago was to kind of divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. And we had assigned Judy and Mike to be in charge of the branding, mm-hmm. In this. So I don't know if they have been involved in along the way. I know they were early on. I don't know if they've been involved in. So that's one thing. We had kind of decided divide and conquer instead of having everything come here and group think it. Maybe that's a different point than you're making than once it's to a certain point it comes back.
Yeah, there's just that next step of, the small group reporting to the committee, the sign off by the whole committee, which then takes the recommendation to the select board.
Mm-hmm. Amanda wants to jump in, yeah.
Yeah, just to, so with the branding package, which Debbie, you were involved in from the beginning. Right. You were part of that stakeholder group. It's been about a year we've been working on it, and mm-hmm. honestly, the last few months have just been me doing kind of detail work with the consultants and trying to get the brand kit that we need. So I'm a little confused about that because there was a lot of, like, both Judy and Mike were invited to every single stakeholder group, but you attended every stakeholder group as well. The wayfinding, and I'm sorry if I didn't elaborate on the technical assistance that we will be getting. That will also include a stakeholder group. So I just haven't. We literally just signed the contracts, and like the consultants haven't circled back with us to really like move that. When I say kickoff meeting, I misspoke and I apologize. It was literally just hammering out the scope of work that was in our grant proposal, and they were just making sure that it came back. And that was me and Elizabeth Jenkins and Calvin from DPW. We will be re-engaging with a stakeholder group to move the wayfinding forward, which also includes design. So I do want to say that. There was a lot of public input with the branding process. So
There's no dispute about that. That's not the issue. I think that from a procedural perspective, that it's within the scope of work of the EDC to see the final product as it's evolved through all the process and sign and be the ones to accept it and then make the recommendation to the select board. Otherwise, there's,
What final product would we see, just out of curiosity? Like because I thought that this was just a component, that's, the wayfinding is just a component of the overall strategy that still has to be worked through. Is that,
the wayfinding is in process, it's not done. But the
Yeah.
branding, for instance, I was on the committee, I went to every single meeting, and I don't know where it ended up.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. So you're talking about doing a presentation to the select board
Mm-hmm.
of the entire package. I'm sure it's beautiful and fabulous. I have no, that's
just
not
that we
the
would want to
issue.
see it?
But there's a step missing, in my opinion, in process, in the way the town is operating between committees and among committees.
Okay.
And it doesn't seem to me a complicated thing to implement, but,
Yeah, I mean, I think as a staff person, she's just trying to get stuff done. I don't know. And I know,
this has nothing
No,
to
I
do
know.
with it's not criticism of Amanda. You're getting
but it
stuff
does
done,
like
and
to
it's great.
slow down
But you
and
need
bring.
to back up, the town needs to, I think we need to figure out what the operating work is. And if you've got all these disparate groups working on different things and then are not involved, so the work is getting done, great, but there's just no, we're missing a structural piece.
Yeah, no, and I've seen this in other committees and other groups, so I know, yeah, I mean, there is a change happening in the town with a,
Yes.
very professionalized staff who are
Right.
very competent in moving things forward, and then we've got involved, volunteer boards that are trying to like figure out where they fit in.
Exactly.
So-
And I know there's an effort, afoot to develop the operating plan.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to throw out there in this current context that this is just an example of a simple operating process that
Okay.
I just think should be in the future part
Thought
of how
about.
we work.
Yeah, okay.
I think this was definitely something that we had talked about a number of meetings back, and if Judy was here, maybe she could elaborate a little bit more. But I know that when we had met a few times over at the chamber, we had looked at the original logo that the
Yeah.
chamber was using, and there was a directive coming that we wanted to try and kind of come up with this unified logo of sorts, and we had hired a developer that he'd come up with a few different ideas, and then I think the chamber adopted that new logo, and then I think there was, to the best of my knowledge, again, Judy would be better to speak to it, but then I think there were some funds that maybe were allocated at town meeting or somewhere for a new logo for the town, and there was a little confusion on whether, we were going to be able to use this unified new logo that we had spent the time on, and so then I think that's where maybe I got a little disengaged, because I appreciate being invited to the meetings, but it seemed like the ship was already out of the harbor.
Yeah, yeah.
like, we just,
Yeah.
in conversations with Judy and with the team there, we just said, let's go with this new
Yeah.
logo for the chamber, and we'll
Decide the chamber stuff.
use it
and-
while things are being developed, I guess. But,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah,
seemed like there
that
were two,
Two different pathways that we thought were going to intersect, but stayed siloed.
Yeah, so I would agree with Debbie, because it does feel like, and I'm not, Amanda, this is not an attack, but it's just been, I've been around the block a while. And it's kind of, this is the ongoing theme for the last, 15 years. It's just a disconnect where we're just not all getting on the same page. And I think that, and it's not to the town, it's not to the resident, it's not to, boards, it's just somebody's got to take an ownership and a leadership position and say, everybody's going to get informed and be aware of all of these things, these decisions. It's kind of, I don't want to go through the laundry list of things where everything felt unorganized and no one got all the right information, but I think going forward, maybe it's something we should focus on. Let's all figure out a same page routine that we are all responsible for. Everyone, not just the town employees, but the boards. When you get on a board, like, this is what you need to be, this is part of your duties, is checking in over here, or, I don't know how it looks,
Yeah.
but
I have a different perspective that I think, I run a nonprofit. I have multiple committees. We're a big organization, a lot of moving parts. And I know there's always, especially, educated, professional, successful people like you guys on committees want information, want to be involved. But the reality is, in my company, and I'm sure it's even worse here, there's a pacing that has to happen for the staff to get stuff done that doesn't match with the committee schedule. So there's a little bit of grace, number one, and number two, being realistic of how much do we need to know and be involved in. I think I think it's a fair point. I'm not trying, but there is like,
I think there's also, just so you know, like, that's how we feel here in the business world. Like, how much you guys slow us down.
no, I know.
Like,
I know,
how much,
I know.
I'm just saying, I get it. That when you guys feel that pace is getting slowed, just remember that you're the one slowing it too. And so it can't always be the town's way, because it does get frustrating.
No, I agree. But that's where I think, like, discussing the expectations of, like, really the need to know versus, like, want to know, or at what point do we come in and being realistic about that and what our expectations are or what we need, I think is part of the conversation. Besides, and then you can decide what the pacing is or when the information comes.
Right.
But,
Yeah, I think we're missing opportunities every which way, and as I said, Amanda, I can't make this more clear. It has nothing to do with you. You're absolutely fabulous. And I personally am really happy to see the town with more professional staff taking the lead. And there are organizational and growing pains that go with that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just figuring out or
That structure.
deciding what the structure is going to be. It doesn't really matter in the end what the structure ends up being.
It's just
as long
decide.
as we all agree,
Yeah, and clear.
have thought it through and know what it is. And I just think there's a missed opportunity in certain ways. Like, let me say with the branding, the vetting to a committee of the
Yeah.
end product gives really valuable feedback, because no matter how much the process involved the public, in the end,
yep.
decisions are made along the way, and you've got your allies, you've got your people who have been working on it, who understand the process, who are then going to say, yes, we sanctioned this effort, and are then your cheerleaders out in the community to support everything going forward. And I think we're a little bit missing this. I've worked in
Yeah,
big nonprofits also.
The same, and we
that
have to do the
involve
same thing.
staff
Yeah.
and committees, and the way they work together, and, it doesn't have to be that complicated. There is a hierarchical
Yeah.
structure within the town that all committees report to the select board.
Yeah.
And that's the flow of information, and to be, the way it's setting up right now, things are just flip-flopping. And I guess I'm just going to say it ends up with us like,
Not
why
knowing.
are we here?
Well, that's.
Why am I coming to these
Yeah.
meetings and working through the economic development plan? If the staff is going to work through the economic development plan, you don't need me.
Well, I think praise be to God for Amanda because she does keep do things beyond what we're going to be capable of doing. But I think your point is, you know, even when we're trying to create the agenda and like our next agenda item is like, what are we going to focus on in 2026? It's like, okay, we need to have real stuff to do. Otherwise, like, what are we doing? None of us want to just come for a meeting. And your point that, you know, this gives the staff cover. You know, that's how I use my committees, is like run it by them, then move it forward. So there is like a growing pains, but I'm not sure that's the purview of our committee. This is a question to Amanda of like, okay, this is a good point. Who should this go to? Kim and Kevin?
Branding.
For like
Not
the
specific.
not
Yeah, I would imagine they would be the appropriate people.
okay.
Yeah.
So, and maybe there are other people that are feeling the same way. All right, so
Anyway.
that we went
Meant to
went
just bring up a minor detail.
a minor detail, but it is
important.
important in the structure and the framing of it, I think, is not in a negative way, like you're saying. It's like there is a change happening in the culture and in the committees, and how do we best work with the town staff so we
Yeah.
all are successful.
Right.
So where are we with the branding? Do we want to have that be an agenda item that Amanda comes with, not anytime, it could be in a couple of months, because there's no decision to be made, just an update?
I mean, that's a question for you guys, because what Debbie is saying is she would like to see it before the select board would see it.
Yeah.
So the select board, I mean, again, I'm trying to move this along, and I really thought that there was a lot of, I gave updates every single month, and there was a lot of public input. But we're not, Elisa, you didn't want to have a meeting in February, so then that would move it to March, and then I wouldn't be able to present to select board until the end of March, and then I can't, like, my hands are tied with a lot of
Yeah,
what
timing.
I'm working on in terms of my communications piece, because that this isn't just an economic development piece, this is my communication side too, so.
Well, why don't you email it out to the committee, and then if individuals want to connect with you on their thoughts, they can. Or email.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there a PowerPoint or,
There's not, I'm meeting, you know, like I said, I just got the draft of the brand kit, so I'm
Okay.
meeting with them next week to try to get additional items in there. And then, so it won't be ready. And that's part of what has been going on in the last few months, is just negotiating back and forth. This has gone on a lot longer than the consultants were contracted for.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're like not contracted for, I should say. Well, it's been a lot longer than we anticipated. And so I am just trying to like get as much out of them as I possibly can.
well, in
So-
the way we had agreed to operate was we were going to divide and conquer. So Judy and Mike are the brand people for the committee. So minimally including them, if you're interested, Debbie, then, or you could, including them somehow in either the update or a meeting, or somehow in getting them in your process of meeting with the consultants.
I can just maybe add one thing, because
Yeah.
I probably have more experience than anybody in this room when it comes to
Yeah.
branding and coming up with
Yeah.
labels and logos and everything else. And maybe I'm wrong, but I've
Yeah.
done thousands of them.
Yeah.
And so when you add a bunch of people to the mix, it
Doesn't
becomes,
help.
even when you're closest of close business partners, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
Because someone's like, oh, I like
this.
So I can appreciate the position that Amanda's in right now, because it's very, very difficult. I think, to Debbie's point, if there's a way that we could, as you know, have the
Committee.
gatekeeper of that portion of what we're doing being, Judy and I maybe have eyes on it, to just bless it, I guess, maybe be the best way to put it. I really like that logo that we did for the chamber, that was kind of the one that I was hoping we could just have a unified one look, but I understand that there were other plans made and they're already so far down the tarmac. It's, I think they're doing it, sounds like a great job putting this together. So let's just maybe let them close that loop. But if we could just see it so that we know it aligns with all the initiatives that we've been working on, collectively for the identity of the town, it's, I think, important that that's part of the plan.
I'm just, it just doesn't seem that complicated. I know the select board people should be saying, what does the Economic Development Committee think about this package? And the answer is they haven't seen it. That's just not right. That's just not the way things should function. And I'm not talking about going through the plan and saying, all of a sudden stepping in and saying it should be green instead of blue. That's we're way past that point. But who knows? There might be things that jump out, uses that have been overlooked, or even just to say, yes, this looks great, fabulous, I love it. You've done such a great job, all of you. It's going to be useful going forward, and we want the select board to do this because that's our charge.
Right. I personally would feel comfortable with Judy and Mike meeting with Amanda, doing what you're saying, and then coming back at a future meeting with an update and saying, this is what's happening, this is what. I don't personally feel the need to weigh in at that level of detail. If other people want it to be part of the agenda and want us to bring it on, we can. But we had set it up that we were dividing and conquering, so we didn't have to group think everything.
Yes, but dividing and conquering for the detail, the nitty-gritty work, yes, because otherwise nothing ever would happen. But then that subgroup has to come back to the total committee and get the sign-off from the total committee.
But we're not signing off on anything.
Yeah,
We're
it's-
not
there's
a
two- that's- I think-
sign-off.
Should be. Yes,
Why?
we should. Yes, we are.
Why?
There's the
I think the
question.
select
I don't
board
think
is
say
the-
we are.
Yeah.
Select board would be.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we are. I would say it's the select board. I would say we're giving information and input.
We are to give a recommendation to the select board, maybe whether
I don't know if they're
whether
looking
they
for a
should support it or not. And presumably, it's not going to go for nothing, not this thing, but anything would go without a recommendation.
But there's been so much community input. We're not gonna know enough. I didn't sit through any of the meetings. I didn't sit in any of the community meetings. I don't know enough to be like saying like, oh no, my idea is better, or no, we don't recommend this. I would rely on our subgroup that has been part of it.
I think otherwise, with all the subgroups, if we all weighed in, it's going to become very, very challenging. I mean, I understand all the points that are being made.
Yeah,
I think
no.
At the conclusion, I guess, it's going to just continue to belabor the efforts that Amanda and her team have been going down. And it sounds like every day that goes by is probably, I don't think these consultants are working for free. So I think we need to kind of close the gate on this. It sounds like there's a lot of thought. I think it would be great if Judy and I could just get eyes on it, just to maybe have a couple opinions if we want. If they're used, great. If they're not,
I think at this point, and Debbie, just to be clear, we don't have the final brand kit yet. Like I couldn't have presented anything to the EDC. Right now, like I said, it's been a back and forth with me and the consultants for the last few months. I think what I would present to the working group is this is what it looks like the final product's going to be. Is there anything missing? Like to your point, it's not like the input that has been going on for the last year, that has been the colors, that has been the look, that has been, we had multiple options we went through. So really it's more of like, is there a use that we need an example for or something like that. And again, that's something that I'm working with the the consultants to make sure that I have a good thing to present to, it was going to be the select board, but if you want me to present it to the working group or to the EDC, that's fine. I can bring that to everybody, and then I'll just push off the presentation to the
Well, I
select
think,
board.
Debbie, if you're, this sounds like something that's important to you, and Judy doesn't have to be, I mean, she's not a voting member, so it could be you and Mike that are the people representing. I'll throw it to you, Dave, like, do you want to see the I don't need to see the presentation. Do you want to see the presentation?
Yeah, I think, I would like to see it. I mean.
Before it goes to
branding of
select
Orleans
board,
is
or-
kind of the foundation of economics going forward, and how we're gonna push Orleans.
Okay, so before it goes to the select board?
That'd be cool.
Once it goes to the
Well, I mean,
select board,
want-
it's over.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you want to see it before, do we want to interrupt this process?
Interrupt the process, no, I mean, I think I can link up with her on the sidebar.
Okay, okay.
That, I mean, I get it, I mean, I think,
But in the future,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with Debbie for
Yeah, I do, yeah.
moving forward,
Yeah.
stuff like this is I mean, you'd agree branding is pretty important for businesses, right?
It's the most important thing.
So, I mean, if you're looking at it from an economic standpoint, I think that maybe the boat has been missed on how important that this is for the economic advisory to see this. I mean, this is, a good branding is what makes a business, like, I didn't know that, you know? I wish I knew that.
I want to clarify again, like, you haven't missed anything. Like, it's not done, so like, we'll push off the,
But in the vein of what Debbie's saying is we should be a part of that conversation if
yeah,
that's
this
the
is just a
foundation of our
process
economics.
question, yeah.
Totally processed. Please understand, I can't emphasize that enough. And it doesn't just apply to this, it applies to how boards and committees integrate with the staff. And we are learning, and I know that, like I said, I know there are efforts underway to clarify
Yep.
and come up with a consistent process. But this is just an instance where it's the tail wagging the dog. There's a step missing, purely procedural.
all right, so just, trying to bifurcate the issue here, right? Like, so we've got the marketing plan, and then we've got the process. The process, I think, we need to get it out of our hands with Kevin and Kim. I think we need to talk, our committee at a future meeting about what the process is and expectations with Amanda. So that's a separate agenda item. But the marketing that's happening now, there's some sense of urgency and meetings already happening. You, Amanda, your timeline is what? And then, so that's one question. And then the second is, would it be better in order to keep your timeline, if that's really has to be kept, if it's mandated and not arbitrary, that we meet with you individually, or that you come back to EDC as a group? Which is better for you?
I mean, so for me, this is my business person. ASAP is my timeline, but that doesn't mean, my worry is like this, we meet once a month. So that means it gets delayed another month and then another month. So, I'd prefer that not be the timeline, that it wouldn't go until March. So if we can
Do it
figure
individually?
out, if we can
Yeah.
figure out a way for the committee to review it and move it forward without waiting until a March meeting, that would be great.
Well, we already have like so much on the March agenda as well. So can you meet individually then with her?
I mean, one way you could do it is just send whatever you're going to present to the select boards, present to the Economic Development Committee, through email. There will be no discussion,
Right.
but
Individuals could get back to her with their
Individuals.
comments.
Or say, yes, you have my endorsement as a committee
Okay,
member.
all right, let's do that. Let's do that via email then to keep the process moving and then have another discussion about process overall in the future.
That's
Okay?
good.
Does that sound good?
And it may very well be, you know, as I said, I know there are broader efforts. It's not about this.
No,
committee
I
alone.
understand.
So the discussion we have can feed into that, or vice versa, that may already have been determined how things are supposed to work, and then we can just start doing it.
Yeah. No, yes, you're right. And I think that by separating it, we have addressed the two
Yeah.
main concerns. Okay. Let's see, cultural comprehensive plan. We're done with that agenda, right? The
Yeah.
staff update, okay. So we're going to the cultural comprehensive plan. This is upcoming. This will be another important piece for us to be involved in. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So this was really at the direction of the select board and the town manager's office. You know, in recent years, we've had a lot of plans and community conversations, and they've all consistently highlighted the importance of arts and culture and heritage. But there seems to be, there hasn't ever been like a dedicated effort to just focusing on cultural comprehensive plan. The current draft of the comprehensive plan that the planning board is working on actually calls for this in it, this effort. So, you know, all of the planning that we've been doing has identified pretty universal challenge. You know, every single one has called out that cultural activity is important to the town, but it's fragmented. Coordination, communication, and marketing relies heavily on volunteers. There's a limited share of cultural space and venues for activities, and the historic and cultural assets aren't necessarily visible or appreciated in daily life. And we're, you know, trying to connect arts and culture and placemaking and economic development. And so we're trying to create sort of a unifying structure without just continuing to spin our wheels. And so, again, there's been a lot of, you know, there's a foundation for the plan to move forward already based on all of the public input that's been given and the planning that's been happening. And we're just trying to like bring it under one shared document. And so with that said, you know, in clarifying roles, I think that's going to be really important, is what committees are doing, what boards are doing, what staff is doing, and what cultural organizations in the town are doing. And so we're looking to start with bringing in a couple of members of the Cultural District, Cultural Council, the Historical Commission, and EDC to help us sort of work through the initial input of the plan. There's a draft outline that we will start from and then go from there. So what I need from you is just 2 members, and whether it's the you know, if it fits in with one of the working groups that's already been established, you know, that might make the most sense, that those 2 members are the ones that come together. But we're trying to get members of the Cultural District Committee, the Cultural Council, Historical Commission, and EDC in the room together. Just 2, so not a majority, just 2 members of each, so that, because I think, you know, it helps for you all to know what who the other, you know, groups are and what they're doing too. So.
Okay, so which I'm looking at our goals, which 2 members would that be? Okay, so, I mean, I think this is a time, I know, I figured, this will be where we'll want to determine the process and what's this working group is doing versus what the big group is doing, so that will be an important piece for us to talk about in the future. We don't have to decide now who the two people are, but you're proposing that two people from EDC join this broader group to create the cultural comprehensive plan.
Yeah, and it could be under the business development focus area.
Okay.
You know, or
And when do we need to decide by? When are you convening this group?
uh, ASAP. Is that like
ASAP.
my theme?
Okay. Will we know that Debbie wants to be one of the people?
Yeah.
Dream come
Which
true.
is
good when you
It's
have
a dream
passion.
come true.
Exactly. And when you have passion for something, we want to use it.
Yeah.
So I would,
Makes sense.
we do have, Rosalind's not here. There's a new member that has applied. We have 2 open seats, so there's a new member who's applied. Anybody that, I've talked to a couple of people that are also considering applying, but now would be the time to reach out to friends or people that we think would be good on here and get them to apply, so we can start with 2 new members. And then we could populate this group. So right now, we'll say it's Debbie from our group, and we'll likely have a second person once we have a full group that can decide if they want to join it. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Because I know Dave has to go, and we're going to start the conversation, but we're not going to finish it because he's not going to be here and Rosalind's not here, so I don't think it's productive. But talking about 2025, 2026, where do we want to focus? I've been kind of keeping notes during this meeting of things that you brought up, Debbie, and that we've already got in the mix. 2025, we supported the staff with the Orleans local impact grant program, where we gave out $50,000 to local businesses. We supported the staff with the small business survey. Remember, we went through the questions and then went through the responses, developed the economic development data dashboard, and was involved in the marketing and branding initiative, supporting the staff's work. Our committee itself, we really focused on our area, the focus areas and our working groups, which we have to revise again. We gave input on the Orleans Comprehensive Plan. We gave input and really led the support for the Downtown Overlay District, and then a lot of support for the staff on the sewer assessment bylaw review, which is now going to a review. They're creating a review committee, and they're having people from different groups join this separate subcommittee. They'll be evaluating the bylaw and the impact, and Dave Courier is our representative on that committee. So that was 2025, and if we look at 2026, we already have the branding and wayfinding. We have the district improvement financing study. We have the cultural comprehensive plan. We have the local comprehensive plan. We have the wastewater committee. 2 administrative things are, decision-making and the data dashboard. What else?
What are we doing with
High
that
level.
data dashboard?
What are we doing with it? We have to decide. That's a good question. But we're doing it. We're gonna do something. We don't know what, but we're gonna
Alright,
collect
sounds
the data.
exciting.
We're gonna do something.
Yeah, kind of a good exercise, not just to get data, but to do something with it.
Do something with it. Yeah, exactly. So that still has to be determined. It took a while to get all the data in one place. So those are the big picture things that, just even from this conversation, that we know are going on. What else is on your mind again, I know you have to go. Agenda item at the
Why
next.
aren't we meeting in February?
Well, I'm going out of town. We don't have and I'm not going to be available electronically. So we could change it to a different day and, or do it all Zoom, just to have like a single focus agenda on planning for 2026.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to volunteer everybody, but,
But yeah,
I mean, I'm just saying, if we got 12, like, let's be realistic, everything that she just said, and if we don't have February, that means we would have 11 meetings. And
That's-
then
we don't meet in
10 after
December.
this one. We don't meet in December.
the summer, like no one's
Yeah,
available.
Yeah, so I mean, to me.
We gotta
that's a
keep February.
Full workload, and I don't think we should miss February.
Okay, well, then we have to change the date and make it a call. But, so we'll figure that out. I can't figure that out right now.
Yeah.
But we can do a February
What's our
call.
our technical meeting is the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month? or
No,
is
once
it
a month.
not? Once a month.
Yeah. It's this, I don't know, is it the second Tuesday? Anyway, Mike, you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say before Dave bounces,
Yeah.
I think priority number one for us should be just based upon, some of the things that were approved at town meeting for some of the zoning, changes and everything else, that our group is walking in tandem with the other groups that are gonna be making these choices, because there was a lot of changes that happened at town meeting for this town.
Tell me more what you're envisioning that we would do.
I just think that we need to have a really good handle on what the next steps are going to be for the development, when the first shovels are going in the ground, when things are going to start, who's going to be, spearheading a lot of these initiatives. I mean, I know for a fact there's things that are in the works, so I just think
Yeah.
it's imperative that we have an understanding of some of these things that are happening and what the intentions are going to be, so that we know that they're in line with, some of the discussions that we've been having over the last, couple of years.
Right, and that it's getting the right outcome that we had intended. So I guess, would that be Elizabeth Jenkins coming or permitting? Because obviously, things can't be discussed that are still not final. I know you have to go. We'll come back to, all right,
Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, he's got another meeting.
Yeah.
We'll- Yeah. All right, we'll come,
Okay. Just
that's something for us to figure out, like, what we would do and how we would be involved in that, but yes, okay.
I mean, it's going to become the landscape, literally and figuratively, of this town, and I think that the Economic Development Committee needs to have, conversations around that piece so that we know what's cooking.
Yeah.
Is planning board, what are you guys doing with tracking new development?
At this point, nothing in particular,
Okay,
so.
so maybe we talk to the planning board. I don't know, Amanda, do you have ideas what we should be, how we should be handling this, right? Or what we can think about it?
Not really clear on, I think I need a little bit more.
So tracking what new development is coming to town, we won't know about things that aren't being permitted until they're in permitting. So in terms of like public information.
Right. But I think when it comes to, there already were a number of things that had been in development, right, through like downtown, and I just don't know, are those initiatives, being looked at by developers, things that have already been approved in conjunction with what was approved at town meeting? I don't want that to get away from us, that's all. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's talk about what that would look like. Do we ask the developers to come in? It's, I'm not sure what the town would know.
well, it sounds like that would be, part of the planning department, right? Would the
Planning
first
department that
group that-
tends not to,
I know, but Elizabeth can't talk about things that she knows until it's
until
public
it's a real
information.
thing.
So, anyway, we can, okay, but somehow, right, it's an important piece in the whole landscape of the town and economic development, and for us to be tracking, knowing, influencing.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
think that we're one of the more important boards
Yeah,
to be in the know on that stuff.
Sort of
as
bring it all
as it becomes
together.
Yeah.
available.
Is the point where the sort of nexus of all kinds of issues that are
Come
connected.
together, yeah, yeah, okay.
A lot was approved, and I just don't want our town to find themselves being hijacked by people, because I think that there's a great opportunity for people to come in and do that to us.
Yeah, yep, okay. What else?
That's my,
That was okay.
I think just real.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Deb.
think that sort of relates to the business development, maybe category in particular, because in talking about what that subgroup could do to interact with, like, say, to potential developers, or following up even on rumor, to meet with people, just to, it's also nebulous, but to find out what is it that is needed, how is it all going to go forward with the town's interests working together with the people who are doing whatever development is coming down the pike. I know this is all very generalized, but, because just what something says in a code can be translated into a lot of different ways. And how are we going to make sure that the translations happen in a way that best reflects what we actually want?
Yeah, okay.
So I
So
don't know. I don't know how that works.
I look at it no different than like the homeowners association that I sit on in my
Yeah.
neighborhood. So it's like, okay, someone buys a piece of property, there's maybe an existing structure, they want to remove that existing structure, they want to develop it, they hire architects, they hire engineers, they hire attorneys, they hire environmental people, they come in, they lay out the plan, they come up with the concept, right? And then the concept is then presented to the planning board, right? I mean, for
No, it's actually
presented to,
not.
who's it get presented to then at that point?
If it's commercial, it would go to site plan review,
Yeah,
which
goes to
is
site-
a technical checkoff list, and then to architectural review.
And it just gets stamped and
It doesn't just get stamped. I mean, both those committees weigh in on, that's where that's where the process was, to have the checks and balances. So it wasn't a by right zoning. It still has site plan review and committees looking at it. Maybe we interact with those committees. I think what I'll do is I can talk to Elizabeth and Amanda and try to figure out what that could look like that keeps them not revealing information that they know from when developers come in confidentially and get updates, but give us an update on the things that are happening. So we can track. We don't have a place in the permitting process to agree or disagree or weigh in, but architectural review does.
But that's purely the architectural piece. It's not the, how does that integrate with what kind of businesses are coming in, or are you planning to bring in, or how do they relate to other businesses? And it doesn't
Yeah.
relate.
some
to the
there needs to be a
broader
gatekeeper in that process, I guess, and I'm just saying I don't feel like there is one right now. And
Yeah.
and the decisions that were made at town meeting and the votes that were in favor of the development and everything that went down basically teed up the town of Orleans for sale. And I have concerns about that, and I'm just expressing them. So like, if the town's now for sale, like, we want to be involved in the closing, I guess, we should be involved.
Well, the new zoning, actually, I mean, because we're looking at property all the time. The new zoning, the restrictions on the income make it actually very hard to do development. So it is not going to be this
Yeah.
free-for-all, as honestly as it is in Hyannis or in other areas where they didn't put the income restrictions in for year-round.
I'm not talking housing, I'm just talking the business, right? The layout of the downtown, who's coming in, what stores are we looking to,
Yeah.
allow here? I mean, for millions of years, but
Yeah.
for a long time, there were no chains. I remember back
Yeah.
when I was a kid, when Friendly's was up by the Rotary, and then 99 wanted to come in there, and that got shut down,
Yeah.
and Wendy's snuck in. I mean, so we were keeping big box chain
Yeah.
stores. I mean, we know about back in the day when Harwich, I think they wanted to put a Lowe's. I mean, I just want to make sure that there's somebody
Yeah.
keeping the integrity of the town intact. And I
Okay.
know that there were some big moves that happened, and I have concerns about what that looks like, I guess, near and
Okay.
term.
Well, we can, I don't know enough, so I think that that would be a good conversation to start with Elizabeth, and then maybe she can come and educate us. Maybe there's a way that we can either be involved or influence or just make our concerns known, so that there's a process set up. Okay?
I think the housing part was pretty clear. And that
Yeah.
it wasn't a
No, that's,
that
that's
wasn't
fine.
what the-
But it is, has been for us in the exercise of just doing the math of cost of construction and what the allowable rent or home ownership opportunity is. It has suppressed the value that it's not gonna be a boon on construction.
Right.
There just isn't, it's just a different bylaw. It's very complicated also, so it's not as straightforward for a developer to, like, oh, this is exactly what I can do. It's a little convoluted, so, but it's still, you're right, like, let's learn more and understand where the loopholes are or the gaps are that we should be weighing in on. I think, yeah, you're
I just
right.
think if the housing thing goes the way the intentions were, there's going to be more people here.
Yeah.
They're going to need to have more resources available
Yeah.
to them, mainly when it comes to like shopping and dining options
Yeah.
and those types of things. And I just think that it's imperative that, you know, we continue to focus on the fact that there's a lot of businesses that are here that have been the backbone of this community that need to make sure that, you know, protected is the wrong word, but it's the one I'm going to use,
Yeah.
that there's concern, you know, obviously amongst, I know Judy's not here, but there's a lot of concern amongst the current business owners here in town of what could come, you know? And
In terms of like the big box stores or,
But
Is that-
that's, the use table, all those other bylaws are still in place.
yeah, I'm not
From now.
targeting big box stores. I don't think that's part of the initiative. I'm just saying other businesses that, you know, could be coming in that could be more chain focused and such.
okay, okay. Where their costs are reduced and their brand is
I mean,
well-known and,
Drive down Main Street in Chatham, you know? I mean, it's just, there's a lot of stuff changing right now, and it's not
yeah,
in favor of the small business owner and
Yeah.
kind of what gave the, you know, the beauty and the look and feel of the small town, which is why
Yeah.
people come here. They don't come here to get away from all that. And we've
Yep.
done a nice job over the last, you know, 50,
Yep.
60 years supporting that.
okay,
It'd be a shame if it was lost.
yep, okay. And making that a priority, making sure that, that that's a priority and continues to be a priority, yeah. Makes
I'm
sense.
saying it because I've seen it.
No, I know,
lot.
I, exactly, as soon as there's, you know, money, then, or an opportunity, then you start getting investors, and then they've gotta, you know, monetize their investment, so it just makes it bigger and it gets out of control fast, so what can we do, or what's in place that's monitoring, or that's happening, so I can start with a conversation with Amanda and Elizabeth, and then we can kind of understand more and bring it back here.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else top of mind before that for us to focus on or think about? Again, we'll come back to this because other people aren't here, but I know you usually have something over there, Debbie.
I already spoke.
Okay. All right, anything else for you?
That's the big one, I think, for me. But yeah,
Okay.
appreciate it.
So we'll come back to this. We've got, there's a lot of important work for us to monitor or do or be involved in and stuff. So, under new business, I did want to say that I'm really happy, that the town has started a wastewater subcommittee to analyze the bylaw based on our conversations and, analyze the bylaw and the impact, and that Dave Courier is going to be our representative on that. And then we do have 2 openings on economic development. I know that there's one application in place, and if we have friends or people that we think would be good, their voice and perspective, now would be a time to try to encourage them to apply so that we could have a full roster. That's the new business. Next meeting, so we have it on here as March 10th. We will figure out a call in February I don't think, we won't come together, but we'll do a Zoom meeting in February. I think it'll be easier to schedule than trying to do something in person. And then the next in-person meeting would be March 10th. So, and then I can work with Amanda on the agenda for February, but it'll basically be 2026 planning, maybe the marketing, branding. There might be something there. I know you're gonna do the email and everyone's gonna reply individually, but Amanda, you might wanna have space to hear from everybody if that timing works out. If not, then just do it individually. And then we can see what else is coming up. Sound good?
Yep.
Kind of organized? All right, I just
Alrighty.
need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.